Well, welcome back to New Shores Reload. Hope you've had a great week so far. Hope you're ready to listen to us talk, because that's what we're about to do.
This is the part of the week.
This is the part of your week where you listen to us talk or watch us talk, which I think is still weird, and I'm going to say that every week, but yep, it's weird.
Oh, they do need to hit the subscribe button.
Yeah, smash the bell.
Smash the bell.
Yeah, and all that stuff that Caroline versed us on.
Hit the thumbs up, or
yeah,
she'll watch this. She'll let me know. She'll refresh
go.
me if we aren't saying it right.
Yeah. Like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell. I think those are the three things for YouTube. How many subscribers do we have so far? You know?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look real quick.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can do this while we're on camera.
Did you know this is episode 10?
Episode 10. We're in the double digits.
Episode 10. I feel like this is a
holy moly
monumental occasion.
Our viewership is still going down though.
Perfect.
We're getting worse at getting viewers. That's typically not how that works, Preston.
Yeah, the newness is worn off. People
I guess
don't tune in anymore.
I guess that's what it is. We are at taking me a little time because 30 subscribers.
30.
Now, I'm not sure how we're at 30 subscribers, but we had 26 people watch the video last week. So
interesting.
And one of those was me. So
yeah, that's fine.
Whatever. We'll keep doing it. We'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
Whether it's 5 or 30 or 5,000.
It'll never be 5,000.
Yeah, probably not.
No,
that's all right.
Yeah, not a chance.
I'm just glad you didn't bring your helmet today.
Yeah, I thought about it, but I had a hat. Put it in my backpack. Brought it.
Wow,
yep.
That's special.
I also brought the new cannons. I remade some cannons.
Yes,
I brought
Easter
them.
is coming, isn't it? It's about a week and a half away. Holy!
I brought that.
I can't wait for April 18th. I cannot wait.
It's coming up, man. That's in less than 2 weeks.
No, April 18th is the day after Easter.
Oh, that's the day after.
I can't wait until Easter's over. That's sad, isn't it?
Yeah, you're not lying.
It is an undertaking, though. 10,000 eggs.
10,000 eggs.
10,000 eggs. 4 cannons that are going to have a total of 8 barrels on it. So 2 barrels per cannon. We're upping our cannon game here.
We are.
We are upping our cannon game.
We're getting fancy with it.
And then you're remaking the ones that are old ones, so they fit better in our bus, our cannon bus.
Yep. Yeah. We opened up the emergency hatches, shot them out the top.
Yeah, that was in the Christmas parade. Yeah, that was
a good time.
That was really good. That was really fun.
A lot of fun.
And people were going crazy over that.
Yep.
They were going crazy.
It was great.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yep. So we better get to talking about what we're going to talk
anyway,
about.
so this is episode 10. So I figured we'd do something special. BJ, tell the viewers, all 25 of them, something about yourself that they probably don't know.
Oh.
That's a challenge.
You didn't tell me about this before.
You've been here for a while now.
You didn't.
I didn't.
Well,
I didn't. This is spur of the moment.
Man, that everybody's not going to know,
yeah.
including my family.
No, maybe.
Man. God, you should have given me some time to think about that, because I got to come up with a really good one. I've got one. It's probably not interesting, but
it's got to be interesting.
No, it's not interesting at all. It's not interesting at all. Yeah, I'm not going to share that one.
Okay.
Just not that interesting. It's kind of boring. You're like, oh, really? I know. Do you have one?
I'm the host.
I'm trying to find the host.
I don't have to share one.
Gosh.
I'll go ahead and do the sermon recap. You're welcome.
Well, let me just say about the sermon recap before you give it, and I'll think about this, but before you give the sermon recap, this is episode 10. By far the best sermon of any of the ones we talked about on Reload. By far. So, go ahead, and I'll think about this.
Nathan Lorick was with us. If you missed it, you need to go back on our Facebook page and watch it. And he preached an amazing sermon. It was convicting to me. Several people I've talked about has just been really challenged to share the gospel with those around us, that there's an urgency to share the gospel, and there's no excuse not to, that we have to be sharing the gospel and to come up with one. Who's your one? What's one person that you think would never get to know the Lord? Be praying for them and share the gospel with them anytime you can. That's really what it was. It was a charge.
Be burdened. Be burdened for the lost. What? So I'll tell you this. Some people will know this, but a lot of people probably won't.
Okay.
Because you look at me and you're like, really?
All right.
But when we were moving from Tenaha, which was a town of 1,000 people. Okay,
Raging metropolis.
I think there were, by the time my class graduated, I didn't graduate there, but by the time they graduated, the ones I grew up with going to school, because we moved off in after 8th grade, I think there were 32 that graduated from there. So, like, to be top 10%, that was something special. That was like top 3, right?
Yeah.
Like, gosh, I didn't get valedictorian or salutatorian, but I'm top 10. I'm number 3, and that's all the top 10, top 10%. But we moved to a town. Of 25,000, but there were 1,300 in my high school.
Wow.
So there were 300 more than the town I grew up in.
Yeah.
Population.
Just in the high school.
Just in the high school. That was culture shock. But I decided I was going to play basketball and tennis. Now, the funny thing is basketball, I'm really short. And you look at me now and you're like, you play tennis? Really? Like, wow. Like, you mean table tennis? Like
right.
Ping pong? So I played tennis. So I went all over the state playing tennis. A lot of weekends, a lot of Saturdays.
Yeah.
I can remember one Sunday where I played.
Center.
I know, one Sunday. But yeah, I played tennis quite. And so now I say that because now my 7th grade son is like, he's like all into it. Like, let's go play tennis. So the other day we were at the tennis courts. Saturday, I went up to the tennis courts. I bought. Jamie's gonna make fun of me. She's already making fun of me to my parents because we're telling my parents about Parker's love for tennis now. She's like, yeah, he's been on Amazon ordering all this stuff. He's trying to relive the glory days. He's ordering all this stuff.
Living vicariously through Parker.
So we ordered a bucket of balls, and so I'm sitting there and I'm feeding him balls, and he's hitting forehands and learning how to hit forehands, and pretty good actually for how long he's been playing. But anyway, I said, well, hey, you need a break. Hit me some forehands. And I made it through half a bucket and felt like I was going to die. I'd finish it out, but man, I felt like I was going to die. So by summer, I'm going to be thin again.
We'll see.
I mean, probably not, but
we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not intriguing at all, but
a
lot of people probably didn't know I played tennis in high school, and that was my main sport. So I gave up basketball and just focused on tennis. Because I was small. Like, you can be small and play tennis. You can't be small and play basketball.
No. It just doesn't work, especially in a high school that big.
Unless you're like,
I mean, you could where I went to
Spud
school.
Webb or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Everybody was small where I went to school. But anyways, yeah. All right. So to the sermon, BJ, I'm going to ask you these questions like you preached it, even though you didn't, and I need answers. All right. Are you ready? Here we go. All right. Matt talked about the difference between being bothered. Did I say Matt?
Matt?
No. Nathan.
Matt?
Those names are for
Matt
whatever
Chandler
reason.
Or what?
I wish. That'd be awesome if he came and preach for us. Can you get on that? Can you make that happen?
I might can make that happen. What if I made that happen? What would you think if I made that happen?
I don't know. I would audibly. I would meow during the sermon if Matt Chandler came and preached.
You would
loud enough for him to hear it.
You
all
would
right?
not.
He
would never come back for sure. Yeah, I'm not going to do that because if I continue to bring like really good preachers like Nathan, like I figured out Sunday that I've got to bring people that are not that good because man, y'all are gonna look and you're gonna be like, man, we are really selling ourselves short on that preacher. Like,
we'll see. Some people actually said that they preferred you.
Really?
That hurt them.
Well, I
said they were like, yeah, he was good, but I'd rather listen to BJ.
Honestly, that's there are preachers that do that. I know we're kind of going off on a rabbit trail, but they will bring people in that are bad to make themselves look better to their congregation. That's not how I'm ever going to do it, by the way. If you just decide, hey, he's a terrible preacher, we don't want him anymore, then that's fine with me. But when I'm out, I want to bring the best preachers. Like, there's already some that I'm trying to line up right now. It's not Matt Chandler, sorry. But
J.D. Greer.
It's not J.D. Greer either.
J.P.
But, JP. No. No. He would be a good one too, though.
Be a good one.
But no, there are some guys. Most of them retired because they're easier to get, right? But there are some guys that I'm working on getting this summer, and yeah, Darrell Wilson's
one of those. Yeah, one of those we've had a lot of.
Darrell Wilson's
and a lot of people are like Darrell Wilson. June. He's kind of lame and blame. That guy is a deep well of knowledge and just an awesome guy. If you pay attention to his sermons, they're really, really, really good.
We need to have lunch with him.
We do.
Again soon.
We do.
He's one of those guys. He's in his 70s now, but he looks like he's 50. But he he's one of those guys that we go to and have lunch with and just pick his brain about how to lead the church and how to lead it well. I would say he's a mentor, although COVID has kind of
it's really put a damper on that.
We used to meet with him, relationship.
Like once every 2 or 3 months almost.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so what's the difference between being bothered and being burdened?
Yeah, so, I mean, we're bothered about a lot of stuff, right? I'm bothered when my food comes out cold at the restaurant. I'm bothered when I let my coffee sit long enough that it gets cold, right? That bothers me. And sometimes we think about culture and we think, man, I'm really bothered. Like, I'm really bothered that the transgender, homosexual, LGBTQ, MST plus movement has taken root and is gaining so much ground. Like, any Christian should be bothered by that. I'm bothered that there are so many people that don't know Jesus and are going to hell. But to be burdened is to place enough emphasis. You're bothered enough that now you're going to actually put some action behind that. You're going to do something about it. I was talking to a small group, some people in a small group, and they were actually, I think it was a Kyle Eidelman, I forget what series it was, but they went in a small group Sunday night after the sermon, and he was talking about compassion and how Jesus had compassion on people. And it wasn't just that Jesus was bothered that all these people were wandering around like sheep, like lost sheep. He was burdened for them. He had compassion enough to them that he was going to do something about it. And so I think that's the big difference. Like, we can be bothered or we can be burdened. And burden is simply, I feel enough pain in me and I'm bothered enough that I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah, Nathan talked about the Apostle Paul in this point, saying that he would rather take his salvation away from himself if he could give salvation to those that he loves. Like, that was his burden, and that's just crazy to even think about. But we need to be burdened, not just bothered, especially for the loss.
And a lot of times when you think about bothered versus burdened, bothered is, I don't like them. Bothered is man, I really don't like how they live. And it can turn into, if we're just bothered, and I think a lot of Christians have just become bothered with lost people, it becomes an us versus them thing.
Yep.
Where when we're burdened for them, it's like, yeah, we're probably bothered by their sin. You should be bothered a little bit by their sin. But we're burdened for them in the sense that, man, they need Jesus. And they need him. And I know that they need him enough, and I'm the one that can bring him to them. And so I'm going to do that. So it becomes an us versus them. And you see this in churches all the time, right? Well, those people, I can't believe those people are living like that. I can't believe those people. Well, we got to also remember we were once those people.
Yeah, we are those people, right? We're still prone to
We
sin.
were once those people that lived in sin, irregardless of what the gospel had to say, and irregardless of what Jesus wanted us to do. And so now we've been redeemed, but we've been redeemed not for ourselves. We've been redeemed so that we can help redeem others, right? We're part. I love, a lot of evangelists say we're God's plan A, and there is no plan B. There is no plan B.
Yep. And we are to be Christ-like. And Christ wasn't bothered enough by our sin to go on the cross. He was burdened to go on the cross, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. He said this in his sermon. He said, we cannot go on as a church. He was talking about our church. We cannot go on without seeing people saved. Do you believe that?
Yeah, I mean,
and
I think.
Why or why not?
So that's a Charles Spurgeon quote. That's what Charles Spurgeon told his church. And it's true for our church. If we are not seeing people saved, you know how many churches are in the SBC that don't baptize one person a year? It's like staggering.
Yeah.
I don't know this. It's staggering.
It's in the thousands. I'm pretty
they
sure.
always, it's like 40%.
Yeah.
And there's 47,000. But if we're not here to see people saved, now saved is not all we're here for, right? If all we're here for is to get people saved and get them fire insurance and baptize them and then let them go, then we're missing the mark too. But the first step in discipleship is salvation. And so if we're making disciples, the very first thing we're doing is we're having them encounter Jesus and the mercy of Jesus. And so I'm kind of where Charles Spurgeon is, like, hey, if we're not going to see people saved, and we're not going to do everything we can. Now, we've talked about this on Reload before. We're not responsible for the results. We're responsible for sharing. But I truly believe if we're sharing, the Holy Spirit's going to go before us, and He's going to make that seed sprout.
Yeah.
right? Not every time, not in every situation,
Yep.
but we will see people saved. But if we're not seeing people saved here, if we're not seeing people come to know Jesus here, then what are we doing? Like, why are we here?
Yep.
We're wasting a colossal amount of time and a colossal amount of money. And by the way, we want to make sure as leaders, when you give your money, we are doing the best to steward that for that very reason.
Yeah.
To see people saved and see people discipled. Like, that's what our aim is. Now, some of the money has to go for lights. And people say, well, we got to pay all this money for insurance and lights and all that. Well, yes. But does the sound system help people get saved?
In a roundabout way, yes.
In an indirect way, yes. They can hear the gospel better when they're sitting on the back row. Does this camera we've paid for 9 years ago, 8 years ago when we moved in here, does the Facebook Live, does it help people get saved? I would say yes, in an indirect way, because they're hearing the gospel preached, right? So everything we do here, the air conditioner helps people get saved because they're comfortable enough to come in and listen instead of being bothered about being hot or cold or whatever. So everything we do here is about helping people get saved.
Yeah.
And if we're not going to be about that, then let's close the doors and save a bunch of time and a bunch of money.
The most expensive social club on the planet.
Absolutely. So, so we can't go on without seeing people saved. But the only way we're going to see people saved is for people to share the gospel. For us to be burdened enough that we share with people who don't know Christ.
And to be focused on at least just that one. I mean, I found, if we're in anything you do in life, if you're not focused on one thing or focused on at least an indirect goal, you're never going to do it. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, even a task, like cleaning out your garage. If you're not, this is what I want at the end, this is, you're never going to move towards that.
You picking on me? Did Jamie tell you to say that?
Yeah, she'll pay me later.
Okay.
But the same way with sharing our faith. If we don't have that one person in mind, that one goal, hey, I'm going to share it with this person, or I'm going to live this way in front of these people, this group, you're not going to do it.
Right.
You're not going to do it.
Yep.
All right. So with that, I'm going to ask y'all a question. What's your next step? What are you going to do with this information that you hear on Reload all the time, with what you hear on Sermon Sunday, but especially this last Sunday? If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it and then decide what's your next step. How are you going to live your life? Who is your one? What are you going to share that with them? When are you going to share it with them? What are you going to do to get that across to them? What do you maybe need to learn or study or read to answer their questions better if you've already had that conversation?
Yep.
When are you going to pray for them? How are you going to pray for them?
Let me ask you a question, and then I'm going to get up and I'm going to get a resource that I want to show them.
Okay.
That if they're having issues with sharing the faith, that maybe could be a resource that they could buy into and would help them. But can you give them some practical steps? Like, maybe they're sitting there and they're watching, they're saying, I don't know what my next step is. Like, I mean, I understand I need to take a next step, and I'm ready to take a next step, but can you give me some practical examples of what the next step may be?
Yeah.
For me. So do that, and I'll walk out the screen and then come back.
All right. So, one obvious first thing, just based off of what Nathan preached on Sunday, is pick one person. One person that it could be just somebody that you're burdened for, somebody that's close to you, somebody that you love, or somebody that, like with Nathan's ordeal and how he grew up, is that, man, I don't think that person will ever come to know Jesus. And start praying for him, man. Start really actively coming to God and asking him to save them in a crazy way. And then, man, start having a relationship with that person. Do all you can to be around them. Get to know them better. Earn the right to share the gospel with them. Because if you just come up with somebody on the street and just be like, hey, man, let me tell you about Jesus, that is great. It's awesome. I love it. But it doesn't always have the same effect if you've lived life with somebody for a while. You're good friends to them. You've shown them that you are a good friend, that you're going to be there for them. And then you share the gospel with them. They're more likely to respond well to that than just Joe Blow on the street that you've never seen in your life.
Yep. So if you have those people that you've built relationships with, and you're like, man, I just don't know how to broach the topic of sharing the gospel, of talking about Jesus, of talking about what Jesus has done for me. This is a resource that was, I don't know, it's been introduced maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's called, I don't know if they can see that. It's that book right there. It's a real little book. It's a paperback. I don't know how much they cost. I can look into it. I'll put a
link in the
description if they want to buy it. But
what's it called?
It's called Turning Everyday Conversations into Gospel Conversations. And Jimmy Scroggins, a pastor in Florida, and another guy that I think works at his church in Florida, came up with this. And they use it's commonly called the 3 circles method. And so it's just a really easy. This book is 115 pages, 112 pages.
Is it double spaced?
Yeah, it's 112 pages, but it's huge print.
Big font. That's something I could read almost, maybe.
I mean, yeah,
they have it on audiobook?
You could probably get through it in 2 weeks. Look, I mean, it's got pictures.
Pictures.
It's got pictures.
That's what I'm talking about.
Anyway, they teach you how to use 3 circles and 3 arrows. 3 circles, 3 arrows, and how to share the gospel. And it's very simple. And so, anyway, that's a resource that you can use if you say, man, I just need ways that I can turn everyday conversations, because you're having everyday conversations.
No matter what.
How do you turn them into gospel conversations? How do you turn them toward Jesus? And they will give you some very practical advice in this book. So I'll link that on Amazon in the description, so that they can get that if they want to. So,
all right. Well, that's that.
That is that.
That is that.
That is
so there
that.
you go. So be thinking, who's your one? What's your next step? And pick that book up. Give it a read. I'm sure it's on audiobook. That book's very popular. Been out for a while.
I'm telling you, this book will revolutionize your approach to how you think about conversations with people. You know, that's really, when I think about it, that's really what it is. We've just got to be intentional. You know we need to share the gospel. We know we need to talk about Jesus. But sometimes it is hard. You're talking about the weather. You're talking about sports. You're talking about hunting, fishing, whatever it may be. How do we then turn that? And so it gives you some very practical advice how you turn those conversations into those conversations that'll help you. So, anyway.
All right. Well, thank y'all for tuning in. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you were challenged this last Sunday and again this in your midweek. And hopefully we'll see y'all Sunday. If not, we'll see you around. Yeah. Yep. It's Wednesday, so we got work to do.
Yep. Bring candy.
Yes.
Bring candy.
Again,
bring candy Sunday.
We got eggs. We just need candy.
I think we've got about, according to Tara, we've got enough candy right now to fill about 5,000 eggs.
Okay.
I think 5,000 to 6,000. It's really hard to tell because you buy candy in bulk. But it's somewhere around 5,000 to 6,000. We need to fill 10,000 eggs. So, and I think those 5,000 will be just about filled by Sunday. And then we'll work next week to fill more. That's another thing. If you want to fill eggs,
you can come up here.
I know there's some ladies coming up here Friday evening, I believe.
Okay.
If you need more information, this will go out today. This is Wednesday. We normally don't film on Wednesday, but we're filming on Wednesday today. And this will go out. So contact Tara or contact me or Preston, and we can get you in touch with the ladies that are coming up here on Friday evening to fill eggs. If you want to help in that way, bring a bag of candy, fill the eggs, and you'll be a part of sharing the gospel on Easter with a bunch of kids and a bunch of families that usually don't come to church.
But candy doesn't share the gospel, BJ.
No, it's the tool we use.
Exactly.
Candy and all those eggs that we do is the tool we use to get people here to hear the gospel. And
Tara has a really cool Easter presentation. She just has all these stations to walk all these kids through, and it just teaches the gospel, really is what it is. And so that's really cool. Really excited for that.
Yes.
I think it's going to be really, really awesome.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
So
it's
just know, Sunday, or Easter Sunday, everybody here is going to hear the gospel.
Yeah.
Big time. Whether
it's kids or adults. Let me also say this, since we're on here, I think we've got a few minutes. We're not as long as we normally are, I don't think. I don't remember when we started. But, but let me say this, Easter is the Super Bowl of Sundays. I know you've said that on a reload. It is the Super Bowl of Sundays for churches. And let me just encourage you, if you're a New Shores member, which you are probably if you're watching this, let me encourage you that we celebrate the resurrection every single Sunday. We've got 52 weeks out of the year that we celebrate the resurrection together. Let me encourage you that on that Sunday, the Easter Sunday, let's be more intentional about being volunteer focused, about being service focused. Don't make Easter about you. You're a Christian. You're a Jesus follower. That doesn't mean we can't just like celebrate even more than we normally do, but realize that there are people here who we need to be burdened for that don't know the gospel. Maybe they've never even heard the gospel. They don't know Jesus. So we've got to intentionally be the ones that are giving up our seat, that are making sure that those people are comfortable enough so that they can hear the gospel and then possibly respond to it. So I always like to
go
put
into
that out
Tara
there.
and asking, "Hey, I heard you had these stations going on. Do you need me at one of the stations?" And it's not gonna it's gonna be way easier than you think it's gonna be. It's just crowd control, and like, she's got everything ironed out. She's phenomenal and taking care of all that. So, but at the same time, tongue in cheek, maybe you need to step up and be active in sharing the gospel with kids.
Yeah.
And just step into it and just do it. I know whenever we did VBS, every single position will be filled except for the small group leaders. Every single year has been that way forever because people are scared. Oh, I don't. No, it's easy.
And they give you a book.
It's easy. They give you a book.
They give you like
a program
that you
she's
say,
done. Yeah,
it's important to take time to
Yep.
like you're
that's
just reading.
That's what I would do every VBS because I knew that be where the shortage is, and it's not hard. So challenge yourself a little bit. This is your job. This is what God's called you to do. So do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. No affiliation with Nike, but if they want to
Just
pay
do
us
it.
money, we'll be okay with that.
Just do it. Well, they're gonna be a sponsor, I think, of the
Wow.
Reload podcast. Yeah,
That-
I'm working on that as well.
Okay.
That's about as likely as
It's
Chandler
Chandler
coming to
coming.
preach. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see y'all later. Yeah, if you don't know who Matt Chandler is, just go YouTube him. He's at the Village Church in Dallas. It's really good. If you don't know who J.D. Greer is, YouTube him also. He's at Summit Church in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. And if you don't know who JP is, he's the lead pastor of the Harris Creek Baptist Church in Waco. Go YouTube him. He's really good too.
Yeah. All really three
Yeah.
good preachers. If you want to listen to preaching
They're good.
outside of Sunday,
They're good.
like I shouldn't see them with their AirPods in their ears while I'm preaching. They're listening to one of those guys.
Oh, sorry, man. Listen to JD.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much better preachers than I am. I can guarantee you that. And I listen to them regularly. So.
No, they're really good. Really good. All right. Well, we'll see y'all later. We've tried to end 3 times now, and we haven't yet. So, all right. We'll see y'all later.
Charm.